Stay tuned. A recap of the day's top stories is next. Plus, coming up at the top of the hour, we'll examine some of the issues that face senior citizens and the people who care for them. But first, here's a look at a few of the stories getting the most attention on our website.
Over to Eve.
All right, thanks, Mark. Well, finding care for your aging loved one can be difficult, but a Berks County man has been helping families through this transition for 20 years now. Gary Hawkins from GRISWOLD Special Care in Wyomissing is here to share his story and offer some tips for families who are forced with making these important decisions. Gary, good morning.
Good morning, Eve.
Thanks for being with us. So
thank you for asking me.
Sure. Let's start with your story, Gary, because it is an interesting one. And
yes.
As I mentioned, you've been working in the senior care industry for 20 years now.
20 years.
And this all started with managing construction crews, right?
Right, exactly.
Tell me about that.
Well,
I
worked for a construction company. I happened to see an ad in the paper for volunteers to come in and volunteer as a dinner aide for developmentally disabled people. And it was 3 nights a week, 5 to 7. And then it became 5 nights a week, and then it became 7 nights a week, and I found that I absolutely loved it. I found that my career changes, or the choices I had made, were not what I wanted. And therefore, I became an employee of the company, no longer a volunteer, and I worked with developmentally disabled people for, I guess, 7 years until I got introduced to senior care.
Okay.
And I felt that that was more my life calling, what I wanted to do, and hence, 29 years later, I'm sitting here. Seems like maybe yesterday, 29 years of doing that, but still, it became my life passion. And when I met Jean Griswold in 1989, I felt that she had what I wanted in elder care, so I began Griswold Special Care.
And tell us what you do over at Griswold Special Care now, Gary.
I'm the owner and director.
Okay.
I've been so for 20 years. We arrange care for people who are elder. And we go into their homes, we provide meal preparation, light housekeeping, errands, laundry, and the primary care, which is personal care.
Okay.
That is something that is critical and crucial to the kind of care people need. Those who just can't really do it for themselves, and we need to go in and help them.
So now 20 years later with Griswold, 29 years later in the industry, are you pleased with the career change that you made years back?
Absolutely. That was a passion I had in life. Didn't see it, but I found it just by chance with an ad in the paper. It was what I felt I needed to do in life. And as you said, 29 years later, here I am. Here I sit.
Yeah, that's great. Well, congratulations. And take us back, if you will, 29 years. How far have we come, would you say, in senior care advancements? Have we come a long way?
We have come a long way. Back in the day, I can remember in 1991, non-medical care, which is a term coined by our founder, Jean Griswold, in 1985. Non-medical care, people would ask me, what is that, like a maid service, or what do you guys do? Do you come into the home and clean? Non-medical was something that people just didn't understand. Today, it's a very common term, but we've come a long way. Assisted living facilities were just in their birth, just in the beginning, independent living facilities. Back in that time, when you needed to finally get more help, you went into the home. You were going to the home. Well, that's not a term used anymore, but those types of services we have changed because seniors in our country, there's more now than ever before in Berks County. I believe it's the second largest growth of seniors in the state. So the need is there, and the ability to provide that with not only my organization but many more who've just come along in the past 7, 8 years, they are fulfilling a need just like Griswold Special Care is. So it's
plenty of options to choose from, plenty of great facilities in our own backyard.
Absolutely.
So how do you know if your loved one needs special care, and how do you discuss this sensitive topic? The answer to those questions and a few others coming up in just a few minutes. We're talking about some of the most common questions people tend to ask when it's time to consider care for an aging loved one this morning. And Gary Hawkins from GRISWOLD Special Care in Wyomissing is joining me once again to share some answers or at least some advice. Gary, thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Eve.
I know this is a topic that a lot of people, all of us, are going to have to face one day. One question is, I know you're asked these questions time and time again, when do you start having this dialogue about senior care? Do you do it before your loved one is actually aging?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
You do not want to wait. If you wait, you'll find yourself in quite a lot of thing where you're really worried. You really don't know what to do. You're having this difficulty. Oh my goodness, my family. What am I going to do? My parents, my grandparents.
Right.
What am I going to do to get this care? Who do I call? Where do I go? You know, what exactly do I do?
Yeah.
And it becomes something that if you don't plan and you start looking today, when you're done listening to this program, make that change, make those calls, get the information, go online, call your local Office of Aging, in our case, Berks County Office of Aging, and they supply you with a list of providers in our area. You make the calls, you get comfortable with the organization that you're calling, if they're whoever you're calling, and then you connect with them. You get that sense of, okay, after you've called them, do you feel like they know what they're talking about? Do you feel the passion in their voice?
Yeah. What kind of things should you ask, Gary, when you're trying to find a caregiver? What should you look for?
Background screening is so critical. The drug tests, the alcohol, the child abuse. But more so the references. GRISWOLD Special Care we excel in the reference area. If we can't verify a reference that you've given us, then it's going to be difficult for you to come on board with us. You also need to look at the longevity. How long have they been in business? How many caregivers do they have out there working? Because the growth of an organization, as you grow, that means that you're providing some care, quality care, to the community. You also want to ask whether or not you feel that they have done what you think they should do. Have them give you names of clients that they've had in the past. Can they call those clients and feel how and get out of them what they have done for them?
Okay, so good advice, and as you said, good to do this as soon as possible rather than at the last minute.
Right.
So how do you know then, Gary, if it's time, if your loved one, your parent, your grandparent, what have you, does indeed need a caregiver?
You visit them, you notice that mom's wearing the same clothing. Either the laundry basket is full or there isn't enough laundry in the basket. Medication, the bottles are not exactly in order. You count the meds, doesn't work out. Dad's sitting in his chair more than ever. He's not getting up. He's not doing those things that he used to do. Mom seems a little disoriented. She asks the same question maybe 3 or 4 times at dinner. Dinner is not exactly what it used to be. TV dinners, things like
Just
that.
Slipping in some of these areas
and you have to be really aware of those things. You have to watch it from the beginning.
Okay.
So.
And what if mom or grandmom, grandpa, whatever, lives in California and you can't watch it every day?
Well, then you need to make those calls beforehand. You need to get comfortable with an organization. You need to have a point of contact where you know you can call them. Make those calls. Get that organization that you feel would provide the best care for your mom or dad. If you can find a neighbor or a friend locally whom you can connect with, whom can then follow up on the kind of care, visit, call daily, multiple calls daily. Make sure you know that they're providing the care.
And Gary, we're down to just a few seconds left, but where can people go to find more information, more resources?
www.caringtimes.org, www.sandwichgenerationmonth.com, and of course, GRISWOLDSpecialCare.com.
Okay, Gary, thanks so much for all of the great advice. Sounds like it doesn't have to be that traumatic if a little planning is involved. It can be a pretty easy transition.
Absolutely.
Gary Hawkins, thank you so much, and stay with us. We're coming right back.